So, one of, if not my favorite comic book characters of all time is Nightwing. Better yet, just Dick Grayson. His whole story, I just love. From his time as Robin, he's still to me the best Robin of all time. To Nightwing, who is my favorite comic book character of all time. Well, in the comics, Nightwing has not had necessarily the best run of things. In October of 2018, the writing team on Nightwing, actually, I don't think it was on the Nightwing side, in a Batman issue, so not even in his own line of comics, Dick Grayson gets shot in the head by an assassin named the KG Beast and loses his memory. So promptly in the Nightwing run of comics, he becomes Rick Grayson, R-I-C Grayson. He's no longer calling himself Dick Grayson. He abandons the title of Nightwing altogether and just becomes a shell of what he used to be. He lets like a group of like 3 or 4 people become the Nightwings, and they all wear his like old suits and basically become a super Nightwing team while he just does nothing really. And we find out he's like mind controlled by the Court of Owls, and at one point like there's a magic stone or something that Joker controls. It just got awful to the point of, even though he's my favorite character, I, along with a lot of other Nightwing fans, just left the title because it strayed so far from the character we know and love. It would be like if Batman appeared in a Superman movie only to get hit in the back of the head by Lex Luthor, and now he's broke and as a bartender somewhere. Like, it's so far from what we know them to be. Well, thankfully, hallelujah, he is back. In March of next year, so the very next issue of Nightwing, because they're taking a little detour, Nightwing is getting a completely new creative team on the comic. And the creative team has already gone, yeah, we're going to more or less soft reboot this. Like, they said it in the nicest way to not throw shade on the previous comic book writers, but they're like, no, we're going back to Dick Grayson. We're big fans of him. We've seen him die twice in the comics in the past 10 years. That's not going to happen under our watch. We're going to take him back to being Nightwing, going back to the classic stories. They've even said off the bat that he's going to be teaming up with Batgirl, which is just a classic pairing. He's going to adopt a dog, so I'm like, all for that. As soon as I told Heather that, she's like, I'm down. I need Nightwing with a dog. Sounds like the cutest thing in the world. It sounds more like a return to the classic style of Nightwing, of just, why you stray so far from the recipe, just back on target. Now, it's not a hard reset. It's not a reboot or anything. It's just, from this point on, it's going to go back to the normal. We're not ignoring what happened, but we're also not going to acknowledge it again anytime soon, which, pretty okay with me, because he's Dick Grayson, not Rick Grayson, and let's never have him not be Nightwing ever again, because for some reason, this poor character, he has been killed twice in a decade. He has had the mantle of Nightwing stripped from him twice in the past decade. Like, this character is just like, can we just put him back in some form of normalcy? For heaven forbid some of us actually just like Nightwing as he is and don't want radical changes. Like, DC Comics the past like year or so has been like, we need to drastically reinvigorate all of our characters. I'm just like, maybe some of us just like the characters how they are. So just a quick little aside for me, but I rejoice in the streets going, oh, I can finally read Nightwing comics again and just back to form, because yeah, I want Nightwing, and I'm still mad that Chris McKay never did that Nightwing movie because he left it for the Dungeons and Dragons movie. But yeah, I'm like, oh, I can finally read Nightwing comics again, because Michael, as someone that doesn't read comics, I don't think you'll ever fully understand how stupid this Rick Grayson thing was. And it wasn't just like a quick little aside. It only just recently wrapped up. This whole Rick Grayson story arc thing has been going on for 2 years.
Oh my. Yeah, knowing how much, and trust me, for those who are listening, I don't have a dog in this fight, except for anything that I have that's vicariously lived out through Nathan and his passion. But considering we were roommates for a year at college, I know how passionate you are. I know how much you loved playing as that character.
I literally have my Nightwing piggy bank
It,
by my desk. I have all one, two, three, four Dick Grayson pops with a fifth on the way. I do not have a problem. Yeah. Go on, Michael.
no, well, yeah, well, at least the fact that you're self-aware is helpful in your rehabilitation. I know how you liked playing as him in like the Arkham games, as well as what was that combat game that you played, the superhero combat
Oh,
game?
Injustice.
I think it was for
Injustice?
yes.
Yeah.
So
And it's the only
yeah,
reason why I'm playing
so
Gotham
I
Knights.
know how much. I mean, I know how much this character means to you, and just hearing you describe what had happened, I mean that's got to be a. I mean, I know it's a narrative choice, but that's kind of. I would say, at least for me, if I'm going to put myself in your shoes, that would be kind of like a sucker punch.
To
And so I'm
to
really
explain.
glad. I'm really happy. It's just the fact that if 2020's taught me something is like, hey, don't worry, it could always be worse. So not to throw that shade out there, but they could really mess it up. Uh,
Yeah, for
so,
you, Michael, it would be like in The West Wing if there's an assassination attempt on Martin Sheen's character and he just goes, "You know what? I'm good with selling Subway from here on out. Aaron Sorkin yourself, why don't you become president for this show? And then I'll just make sandwiches at your local Subway." You're just going, "That's not what I signed up for."
okay, that's it. That would be a horrible analogy, but I understand the emotional trauma and the investment in that. So, well, thank you for at least making that more relevant, because that would be awful. So,
hmm
well, I'm glad. Do you know anything about this new story group? Do they have any credibility, any history behind them?
It's funny that you bring up Injustice because there's actually a ongoing comic series based on that world. And the writers of Injustice are the ones writing this new Nightwing story. They are huge fans. This artwork is the artwork for the series, which I'm much more okay with. I didn't mind the current artwork. It was whatever. It's a tinge darker. It looks more like the classic blue. Like I'm down with it. I do trust this writing team a whole heck of a lot more because Nightwing for the past 2 years, while this whole stupid Rick Grayson thing's been going on, it has been a revolving door of writers because everyone's going, yeah, we want to do something, but the higher ups aren't letting us do this, so we'll do something a little less stressful. Like it's been a revolving door of people just going, yeah, this is not the position we really want to be in or want the character to be in. So it seems like these guys are going to have more creative freedom to just kind of not go back to the drawing board, but go back to what works, because this guy, it's like how Sony handles Spider-Man, except a little bit worse. Just, come on, guys, just be nice for once. He's been through the ringer. Other than Wally West, I don't think there's a DC character that's been crapped on more than Dick Grayson, unfortunately.
Well, oh, here's to change in 2021.
2021.